Hey, alright, what's going on, everybody? This would be like my first video. I think I've done, like, for YouTube, I've done many videos, but I don't upload. So maybe I won't even upload this. I'm just trying to understand how the system works. Alright. So right now, I'm just, watching this guy, Waynebubya, I think his name is. And now in Africa, this white dude, he went on fasting, and it brought him all the way to Africa. It brought him to the point of getting his life in order and finding the energy and the will and the vision and the spirit to build an entire, I don't know how many kids are there. I think it's like either he said 30 or 300. I can't remember what it's big. I understand. Sounds pretty impressive, the way how he takes in these kids and stuff and helps them out and he's got a staff and everything, but he also drops these videos. Anyways, my point is, if I was to start doing these videos, what would I really even talk about? And I was reading this thing right here, right? For to be carnally minded, and I'm looking at is death, and I'm like, what is carnally? Where does the word carnally come from? And I have a weird way of, sometimes I like to actually Google, and maybe, I haven't done that yet for this word, and that's what I need to do. What does the word carnal mean? From the dictionary. Okay, I'll tell you first up. Yeah, I'll look it up first before I tell you what I was gonna say. I don't want to make a complete fool of myself. All right, so if I put in carnal and I type in looking for a definition, relating to physical, especially sexual needs and activities. All right. Carnales comes from the word caro, carn, or flesh. Interesting. See, I was thinking like car, and we drive cars, and our human bodies are like our cars, for our spirits. And so anyways, but to be spiritually minded, right, and spirit, and like, what is a spirit, right? Because we talk about the soul, the mind, like what, how can I remember, like what's another way of looking at it? We all know what the words, we don't, that's another word I could Google, but one way that I like to look at the word spirit is exactly how the way it sounds. So think about phonetics. Spare, it's like a spare, and who's it? We are, right? The IT, right? And so when you spare it, like, what is the spare? Spare is also known for being like a sword or a word, right? You take the letter off. So when you're sparing a sword, spare, air. So the word air is mixed into that first part, spare, right? That's why it's as opposed to sword. Like every letter you could break down, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what's so interesting about this whole thing. And I'll show you in a second. But to be spiritually minded, so which spirit is influencing you? We know there's positive spirits and there's negative spirits. So here we're talking about the positive spirit. Usually it's talking about the positive spirit in the Bible when it uses that, unless it specifically says demonic spirit. So it says, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. And that's number 6, by the way. I don't even know what book this is because he didn't put the book or the chapter, but I could always Google and figure that out. Then he goes on to say, and this is probably not an ideal video because I don't know. Anyways, because the carnal mind is, let me just read that last part. But to be spiritually minded is life and peace. I'd imagine all the fruits of the Spirit come. It was one of the benefits. And I like to study the stuff while I'm actually fasting because so many times we try to study the Bible, but we're not really believing it, or it's not really holding much weight because we're like, I don't believe it. And one of the things I love about fasting is the fact that, like, this is where the value comes from, putting action to faith. Because you can then, even though we talk so much about how it's not about works, it's not about what you do, you gotta take it by grace, all that stuff. When you have that building block of work, action, you can then look at that and say, hey, look, I haven't, I've been fasting for not just days, but weeks now. I mean, to think about, like, that's empowering, man. Like, think about all the times you were so embarrassed, so ashamed. And I'm not saying that I feel like I'm the best now, but it's a lot better than feeling ashamed for something you just did. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's faith in that. Like, you have now, because that was always the one thing that you felt was not helping, was blocking you. So if you take that block out, now you can believe for more. Anyways, that's all I want. I want to finish this. Let me finish this. Because the carnal minded is enmity against God. Enmity, like enemy against God. So hostile. The Bible, he's saying that the mind, right, the fleshly mind, that is, as opposed to the spiritual mind, I guess, but we'll get to that in a second, is actually hostile, enmity against God. Right? When we feel that sometimes, when we make those mistakes, we feel like, man, like, that's not even what I wanted to do. It's like my flesh versus my spirit right here. Right? But for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be, he says right there. And I guess that's why he gets rid of the flesh eventually. I mean, that's why I believe he's coming back soon. It's to change us. But at the same time, we're supposed to do our best. Be perfect, even as your Father is perfect. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes unto the Father but by me. Anyways, so then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. You feel me? I'm trying to please God, to show him how much I appreciate him. I mean, my life has been not looking the best, but when I know how much grace and mercy God has shown me, man, things could have been way worse, bro. Number 9. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit. If so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of us. He is none of his, And if Christ be in you, the body is dead. If Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin. Sin. The body is dead because of sin. The serpent is in it. Alright? We're just talking about there's supposed to be 2 serpents, one good, one bad. We have to find more about that later. But the Spirit is life. See, there's another S. So we see there's an S on sin, there's also S on spirit, which is referring to God. So there's 2 spirits out there, bro. But the Spirit is life because of righteousness. So saying that the Spirit of Christ has something called righteousness. But if the Spirit of Him that raised up Jesus from the dead will dwell in you, He that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by His Spirit that dwelleth in you. So it ended off saying the exact opposite thing almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, well, I mean, actually it's funny because my verse down here is talking about how, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and then all these things will be added onto you, all the good things. You know what I'm saying? One other verse I always focus on is one up here, which is, I cast down every imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. I bring into captivity every thought into the obedience of Christ. You know what I'm saying? What else is it saying down there? Yeah, for Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 10:5. Because these imaginations, right, these words which become thoughts, making them obedient to Christ, man, to the Christ. It's deep stuff, man. Anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you. And I'm gonna figure out I might not even post this, I just wanna see how this thing works. But also, because I need to start recording more and then perhaps dialogue.